Hey guys, welcome back to the Noble Biz podcast. Happy New Year. It's January the 16th. I can't believe we're 2 weeks in. This is crazy. 2020 is flying by. But anyways, I'm here in the studio all by myself this morning. And actually, Abe Brown is over in the Philippines. Definitely in a warmer climate than we are here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's been the deep freeze the last few days. I got back from Phoenix, Arizona Saturday night, and that's when it got cold. So we've been averaging temperatures around minus 25 to minus 35 Celsius. Man, it has been nasty cold. But this is it. This is it, guys. So, hey, what about that global warming, huh? I could use some of that global warming right now up here in Calgary. But anyways, we're not going to talk global warming today. We're not going to talk politics today, but we are going to talk about New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions. So how's 2020 going for you? How is it going for you? I don't know about you guys, but I was actually Googling the last hour or so this morning, and I wanted to see what the results would be like for New Year's resolutions suck. All kinds of stuff came up, but I did find this one article that was published on a website called theodysseyonline.com. That's the odysseyonline.com, Odyssey, ODYSSEY. And there was an article posted January the 9th, 2017 by Sarah Fields from Murray State University. And the title of this article actually is Why New Year's Resolutions Suck and Why You Should Have Goals Instead. So I want to share some of the highlights from this article. I really enjoyed it. I went through it this morning quickly. And but before we dive into that real quick, I want to ask you, how is 2020 going for you? I don't know about you, but right before New Year's, before that clock struck midnight and we rolled into a new year, into a new decade, man, I had my list. I had all the things that I was going to do. I had made some very strong non-negotiable items, and some of those things I'm doing really, really well with today. But there's some things that are on that list that have just seemed to, let's just say, it's not happening. So here we are, and I want to encourage you today that no matter where you're at with your 2020 goals, I do not want to call them resolutions, but I want to call them goals, all right? And, depending on where you're at with those goals, maybe you're hitting some of those targets, maybe you're not. It's okay. Today, you can hit the 2020 reset button, all right? Because I know I have to. Now, time for a little confession. So on the health side of things, if any of you guys follow my personal Instagram, or connect with me personally on social media, you'll see that I've been doing some traveling early in the year. As a matter of fact, I just got back, as I said, from Phoenix on Saturday night, and I had a very short trip. It was all basically the first week of January. I was on the road and did 5 states in 5 days. And the one thing that is challenging when you're traveling is healthy. Yeah, and I know I'm making excuses because I've got friends that do a really good job of preparing for their trips, and when they go away, it doesn't matter what they're doing. They're always on course when it comes to their nutrition, when it comes to their overall diet and their training plan. And actually, I'll give a shout out to Chafin Bowen. I was in Vegas with you just before Christmas for the A4M Anti-Aging Health Expo and conference, which was an amazing event, by the way. But you know what? One of the things I noticed when I went to visit Shafe over at his hotel is, there it was. He had all the nutrition stuff out, and he had the shakes and the supplements, and he was mission focused. And I felt a little guilty, right? Because we all have great intentions. but what do we really do with the decisions that we make? We have to be intentional. And so here we are, 2020, and I had made this really strong commitment that come January 1st, it's going to be no, 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 no when it comes to food, and I'm going to get back on track. Some of you may have followed my story back in 2017. I lost a ton of weight that year, almost 80 pounds, and so I really wanted to get back in that lane. And I haven't done it this year, guys. Just straight up confession right there. It's been a tough year for me mentally with getting into this state of really making that decision. And it's time for me to hit the 2020 reset button. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit the 2020 reset button, and we're going to get this thing back in the lane. So I just encourage you today, it doesn't matter where you're at, what you're doing, whether you're hitting targets, whether you're having a great start to the new year, or you've just been stuck in holiday mode, you can give yourself permission to reset today, okay? So I think that's fair. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to read through this article real quick. I love it, and it's hard for me to just kind of pull out a couple things, and it's very, very short. But I'm just going to dive right into it. So I'm going to be quoting Sarah Fields directly from her article. Once again, here on the odysseyonline.com. We will stick the link in the podcast link on the YouTube channel and wherever else we can put that link for you guys. All right. But if you Google New Year's resolutions suck, she comes up first. So, anyways, let's get into it. So January the 1st has already come and gone. You probably had a bunch of New Year's resolutions that you wanted to achieve in 2020. Her article says 2017, but we'll change it to reflect the current time. And you've likely already broken half of them. You probably feel pretty guilty for already breaking them. I'm telling you right now, stop feeling guilty for failing. Let me let you in on a little secret. New Year's resolutions do not work. They have never worked, ever. The biggest and most recognizable example is having a New Year's resolution to lose weight. Oh my God, that is the big one. I can relate to that for sure. She continues, having weight loss at a New Year's resolution sucks because the weight loss industry hinges on you failing and hinges on the guilt you will feel afterward. There is no wiggle room for failure. It is either you achieved your resolution or you failed it, scrapped it, and just forgot about the entire thing. At the end of the day, you get the short end of the stick. You feel crappy about your outer image. You feel like you let a lot of people down. And at the end of the day, the weight loss industry gets a big paycheck, and you feel like utter crap. The problem with New Year's resolutions is that many times they aren't smart, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Having a resolution to lose weight is not a smart goal. It's hardly a goal at all. Eat better and drink more water are vague ideas that will end up making you feel like you failed. Because dang it, soda is just so delicious, especially Dr. Pepper. I guess she likes Dr. Pepper. I'm not a soda guy, so that's not an area that I struggle with. But the Starbucks lattes, especially the new smoke butterscotch. Wow. Anyways, back on track here. Again, I say New Year's resolutions do not work, not by themselves. They suck on their own. And if you base your entire new year, new me mantra on the vague ideas of losing weight or drinking more water or even making new friends, you're going to fail. You're going to have a pretty bad time. Here's what I say to you. If you want to lose weight, go for it. If you want to make new friends, go for it. Just turn your resolutions into goals and make them achievable. Make them as specific as you can get them. Make them measurable. Make them as attainable as you can make them. Make them relevant and not something that you wish for in passing. And make them have a time limit. Lastly, allow your wiggle room in your goals. Always reevaluate your goal and your plan for achieving that goal. If your plan failed, regroup refocus, and redraft a new plan of action. New Year's resolutions suck and do not work. However, if you stick with it and keep track of it, goals will work. Smart goals will work. Make your goals for this year smart, and you're not likely to fail. Just don't get into the resolution mentality. So I love that article. I guess my biggest takeaway from this was really making smart goals, something very measurable, something achievable. And I think that's great advice. You got to be specific. You have to be able to measure, as she said, measurable goals, attainable goals, relevant and timely. I was talking to one of my clients, one of my coaching clients, just before the end of the year, and he had a massive number in terms of income that he wanted to make. And I asked him if he felt that number was realistic, and he said yes. Now, if you were to ask me if I believe truly in the deepest part of who I am, whether or not that number was realistic, I would say probably not. But as a good coach, I cheered him on and I said, hey, absolutely, man. If you can believe it, you can achieve it, right? Like Henry Ford says, if you believe you can, and if you believe you can't, you're right on both fronts. I didn't quote that specifically as Henry Ford does, but the reality is if you believe that you can do something, you're right. And if you believe that you can't do something, you're also right. Because whatever your belief system is, your alignment will produce the results. And that's just the bottom line. So if you think that something is too large, for example, let's say that you made $150,000 last year, or you made $250,000 last year. And this year you say, okay, I'm going to make $50 million. Okay, well, that's a massive stretch from 150K or 250K, right? That's a major number. Now, maybe you have a plan. Maybe there's something big in the works. Maybe you've been waiting on a sale of a company. Who knows what the deal is? But the reality is, to go from $150,000 or $250,000 a year in income to $50 million, man, there's got to be some serious magic, in between those numbers. So to say something like, hey, you know what, I want to go from 150 to 250, and I want to make $1 million this year. I believe that's possible. I really do. Now you need to have a plan, and you need to be able to measure, whatever actions that you need to take to be able to hit that target, and you should be measuring those actions daily. Those daily actions should have a weekly scoreboard or a weekly score sheet, and the same thing at the end of the month. So you can go back and you can recalibrate. You can take January as a total and you can look at it and say, hey, these are the things that I was doing this month. These were the things that produced great results. These are the things that just aren't working. And so I got to tweak some things. I got to make some adjustments. And I always love to use the example like a pilot. When a pilot's flying a plane, pilots never make major adjustments when it comes to the plane, right? It's always small, minor adjustments to keep the plane on course. Of course, if you're using an autopilot, then you don't have to worry about that as much. But we have to stay on course. We have to be able to recalibrate and make the adjustments that we know that we need to make. So for myself personally, if I was to look at my total sheet, my term sheet, if you will, for 2020, and I start going through, all these targets, all these goals, all these things that I want to achieve, and, I look at my scorecard today and I go, man, based on January 16th, I feel like I'm not doing very well. Now, on the health and the nutrition side, I definitely feel like I'm failing. I've made some good decisions here and there. I've said no when I wanted to say yes, but overall, I'm scoring really weak numbers on that front. So I'm going to hit the reset button today on that and understand that, it's time to get serious. It's time to get focused in that department for myself. Now, on the business front, I made some very aggressive targets and goals for this year, and I'm really happy with what is going on. As a matter of fact, I've experienced some great miracles so far this year. And one of the reasons why I'm experiencing those results is because I've taken the challenge of really building in on my faith and trusting the process that if I put all my faith into my belief system, And for some of you, I believe in God. I have a strong faith a background, and truly for me and my faith, if it wasn't for my faith, I probably wouldn't be here. I've had some divine interventions in my life the last few years that I truly believe have saved my life and have kept me here, kept me fighting for my family, kept me fighting for my dreams and my goals. And I'm just really thankful. I've got massive gratitude for having that in my life. And I really believe that, if we don't have hope, if we don't have something that, a purpose, a passion that's pulling us forward, then we're going to really struggle. We're going to struggle with staying positive. We're going to struggle with, wanting to get up every day. And that's just going to be a real battle for us, So on the business front for me, for sure, it's been, really leaning on my faith. And when I feel like I need to go, when I feel that pull, when I feel that calling to do something, even when it's completely uncomfortable, it makes no sense, it's absolutely crazy, maybe even borderline irresponsible, I say, you know what? If the big guy says, Jeremy, jump, I say, okay, where do you want me to jump from? How high? What's the deal here? And when you jump, major things happen, exciting things happen, miracles happen, and you start to see things that are supernatural, and you go, man, this is crazy. I mean, I never would have experienced something like that if it wasn't for my faith and it wasn't for me jumping out. So I really encourage you to do that. And my business trip realistically last week was just a no-go. I mean, it made no sense for me to take that trip, but I had two major openings. It was a window of time. It was an opportunity that opened, and I had to take that jump. I had to make that jump, and I did it. And because I did it, things that I've been praying for over 2 years now are now starting to come to fruition. And that's a beautiful thing, you guys. So is my faith encouraged? 100%. Right? So for me, it's not about having New Year's resolutions. It's about having a plan. It's about having an overall goal for the year. And we're 16 days in, so it's easy for me to pull out the scorecard and say, hey, listen, this isn't working. This is working. So if that's working, let's stay focused on that plan. Let's keep doing those things daily that have to happen to produce the results that I want to see quarterly and annually this year in 2020. On the other front, maybe there's some things that I'm looking at, and I'm going to tell you guys specifically around nutrition and health. Losing that weight in 2017, training aggressively that summer and into 2018, it felt great. I had great energy levels. My inflammation was, almost non-existent. I just overall felt great. I felt strong, and that affected also my mental health. It's an amazing thing when you start to drift the other direction and you start to eat like crap. You start to consume a large amount of sugar, which I love. Sugar, I love candy. I'm addicted to sugar, so I need to get off sugar. But it really starts to mess with things like your mental health. It starts to mess with your strength and your confidence mentally. And so, our bodies are so complicated, but everything is connected and everything works all around, nutrition, what they say, input versus output, right? Intake versus outtake. So, no, that's stupid. Intake versus outtake. Are you kidding me? It's input versus output. So that's such an important thing in our life. And it's amazing to us, how many times we flirt with the concept of being healthy. We flirt with the concept of being strong, and we want the results, right? We all want that success, but are we really, truly willing to pay the price? And, there's a common denominator when you're having a conversation with somebody, and just pay attention to it the next time that the opportunity arises for you to engage in a conversation where there's a lot of complaining, and there's a lot of blame on, the human body. I feel like crap, my joints, my back, I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. If you look at that person, probably they're overweight. Probably they've got some really bad habits. Maybe they're addicted to sugar. They're drinking more soda than they're drinking water. Maybe more coffee than tea. Listen, I'm guilty of that. I love coffee. I could drink, multiple cups of coffee a day. But, there was a point in time in my life where my wife and I were drinking a lot more tea than coffee. And the reality is I'd have my coffee in the morning, but, as soon as I had that one cup, I would switch over to tea. We would drink tea all day. And, tea's awesome because it's hydrating. And there's a lot of teas out there that don't have the caffeine in it. So, it really is a great alternative to sipping on something warm if that's an addiction for you. So my encouragement today to kind of bring this in for a landing is look at New Year's resolutions suck. I think we can all agree on that. We all do it. We all make these lists of things that we want to do, things that we want to accomplish. But the reality is you don't have to fail, right? You don't have to feel like a failure today. You can hit the reset button. You can recalibrate. It's just a matter of bringing in that scorecard, looking at it, what's working, what's not working. Let's make some adjustments. Let's make some tweaks, and let's keep moving forward because we still got a lot of 2020 left in front of us. Guys, let's face it, 11 and a half months to go. And I also really want to encourage you that, we're living in a culture today where a lot of people are struggling with, anxiety. And the heart rate is beating faster, it seems, these days. There's this push, there's this urge to, compete at a high level. And, we're running out of time. We got to get it done now. We got to get it done yesterday. And I just really encourage you, treat the year like a marathon because that's the reality it is. And so whether you want to work your year into, weekly sprints, or you want to work your year into quarterly sprints, whatever that looks like for you. But the reality is a year, 12 months is a marathon. And so, try to calm the heart rate down a little bit. Try to, that famous saying, right? Keep calm and carry on. And I think that's so important. And we have to remind ourselves, and we got to get really present and cautious with, the decisions and the things that we're doing with our time. Because for me, I struggle with that. I struggle with, just the overall pace and, moving fast. And I always feel like I'm running out of time. I want my comeback and I want these results and, I want all of this to happen yesterday. But the reality is, we're not built, right? We're not built to live life as this this full out, sprint run. Because what's going to end up happening is if we do that, we're just going to burn out and we're going to get really, really sick. It's not healthy for us, right? So you got you got to work hard. You got to push hard. You got to perform, but there's got to be a time where you can pull back and you can catch your breath. And one of the things that I've really committed to do this year with my family is Sundays I'm off. That's it. No business. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try and stay off the phone completely. Try and unplug, from social media and stuff like that. But we need at least one day to recharge, to recalibrate. And I think the more intentional we can be about that, the better that our performance will be. It's funny when I hear people say, hey man, I'm working 17, 18 hour days. Listen, you might be up and about, for 17, 18 hours a day, but you're not really producing good quality work during that time, right? Or when you hear people say, I don't sleep, all I do is hustle. Listen, that's bullshit, right? It's not real. The reality is we can do really good quality work when we're focused and we set aside that time and we make that commitment and we show up. We're present, we're intentional, and then we can produce some amazing results. So I encourage you today, guys, listen, New Year's resolutions suck. I agree. My hands are up. I vote for that as well. And it is really right now about absolutely setting smart, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goals. So let's do it. Let's crush it. Let's get back into the trenches. And just a little tip, I'm going on another show next week with Coach Christina. It's going to be exciting. She's doing an interview with me, and we will feature that interview on our podcast next Friday. We'll have it up either on Friday or just before Friday, and we're going to try and get an episode up every single week here on No Bull Biz. So until then, guys, keep crushing it. Happy New Year once again, and let's make 2020 the best year yet. Cheers.